Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow, Audi Diagnostics. We have another fancy European SUV at the shop, 2012 Audi Q7 3-liter diesel. I've been seeing quite a few of these. I didn't know that many existed. Apparently they're kind of popular. What's the customer complaint? So about a year and a half ago, I got an email, just, one of those random questions saying my Audi isn't charging the battery. It's been to the dealer several times. They don't know what to do. I just asked them, well, what happens if you unplug the alternator, the control wire? Does it charge in default mode? He did that. He said 14.5 volts, no issues at all. Didn't hear back from that person for until now. And apparently, he said that now some of the accessories are fussing. They're not working correctly because of high voltage codes. Okay, I'm like, okay, bring it over. We'll diagnose the charging system, see what's going on, and see if we can figure it out and fix it. The dealer, they were completely stumped. Let's look over this. He brought some invoices here from his visit to the dealer, see what they replaced, scan it for codes, see where this thing goes. So, first thing I want to verify the customer complaint. When we run the car, and we start it up, scan the whole thing for codes, and it has some air suspension codes. It's got a little Christmas tree going on. But what is caused by, do we see any high voltage codes? No. See there, tire pressure, don't care. Alarm horn, don't care. Valet parking, information electronics, and yes, he has some speaker codes. Again, not voltage related. This is just, speakers might be failing. He said that during the winter, he couldn't use his heated seats or his heated steering wheel. They would come on briefly and then not get hot. So I looked at those. With the thermal camera, that seat is getting nice and toasty. Nothing wrong with the seats or the heated steering wheel. That's set at 82 degrees and the car just maintains that temperature. So he said right now the alternator is unplugged, the control wire is unplugged, and we're not getting any voltage codes, we're not getting any alternator communication codes. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? Nothing's really broken. None of your complaints are present right now. But he said that since he made the trip here, he wants me to diagnose this alternator problem. The alternator should charge with the communication wire plugged in, but he says as soon as you plug it in, the voltage just drops, the alternator output is 0. That's not correct. Let's look at what's been done to the car already. Alright, so first visit to the dealer was in May of 22. The car had 105,000 miles. Customer states electrical issues, battery not charging, goes into low battery mode, stereo won't work, thinks alternator is bad. Charge low tested battery okay. Recommend replace alternator and pulley on front of the alternator. So recommendation, $73 for the diagnosis. September, November or October to November of 22. Same mileage, 105,000 miles. Low battery light is on. Battery and alternator has already been replaced, notes attached. Wiring repair at the back of alternator. So, here, let's read this. Electrical malfunction, check over charging system. Alternator exciter wire is damaged and also plugged into the wrong terminal. How is that even possible? Alternator, or estimate to remove the alternator, repair wiring, and reattach the alternator, reinstall the plug on the blah blah blah. We can evaluate when alternator is out. Removed alternator, plug is damaged in the back of the alternator, and wire harness connector will not plug into it. Estimate cost to replace alternator. Additional wire has been added to the alternator power supply that is not original. Okay, what the heck is that? And the customer never told me about that. Further diagnosis and repairs may be needed once alternator has been replaced. Remove and replace alternator. Check charging system. Vehicle is charging, but charging voltage is low. Battery voltage and amperage tests low. Charge battery overnight. Recheck charging system. Coolant is leaking from the hoses that go to the alternator. So this must be a liquid cooled alternator. Okay, and the total for this one was $1,600. Holy crap. And then, this is late November of 22. Electrical malfunction. So this is just diagnostics here. $500 for diagnostics. Perform guided fault finding. The charging system related faults were recorded. Perform generator test with diagnostic tester. Generator test okay. Voltage output goes to 14.5 volts. Voltage is not being regulated properly. Diagnosis needed to determine malfunction. Exciter wire, no excessive resistance. Okay. Contact Audi Technical for assistance. Advised to replace the battery for further testing. Replace the battery with the proper amp hour rated battery. No improvement was found. Reinstall customer's battery. Perform multiple generator tests. See, there's a pattern how the system turns on and off the alternator, but the test is not repeatable. Different results are displayed. Contact Audi Technical again. Audi Technical advises that since no warning light is displayed and the vehicle does charge, to perform no further repairs. So $500 for that, and the customer still has a semi-broken vehicle. But if it's unplugged, no issues, right? The customer is curious of why, and I gave him the option of everything's okay, just keep driving it the way it is, or since you made the trip, we can spend a few hours here and diagnose this alternator. So what I want to do is go into this gateway. That's where that single wire goes from the alternator. So right now you see the voltage is about 14.5, and read DTC. There's no DTCs here. And if we go to data stream, read by list, there are some generator type, generator vendor, generator control. There's battery stuff, battery voltage, battery size, battery type, state of charge. Let's thermal generator status, electrical generator status, field current. Let's just select all these that have to do with the generator. So voltage specified. So it wants 13.5 volts. Right? The signal is not there. Field current's not there. Status, there's just blanks. Generator type, not okay. Generator vendor, size, generator control, and the battery type is okay. Battery disconnect recognition, no. Battery voltage 13.8. Battery current, so the battery sensor is working fine. What do? Let's plug in the alternator, see what happens, see if any codes are set, see if it's charging, and go from there. Alright, so it seems like the easiest way to get at this alternator is from down here. There it is. So there's the plug that's unplugged, and it has one single yellow wire attached to that plug. Even though it's a 2-pin plug, just one of the pins is occupied. Again, kind of hard to see. I'll show it from right here. See, it's just a yellow wire. Plugs into the back of the alternator. So I want to verify using a borescope the actual part number of the alternator. And let's see if we can spot that. There it is. There's the tag. 057903-015D. Hitachi. I guess made in Japan. With coolant lines going to it. Now there are some signs of coolant leaks on the plug. It's a little crusty, but not bad. So let's just plug in that terminal, single pin, right here, to the back of the alternator. Start the car and see what happens. See if it keeps charging. Alright, let's fire it up, see what happens. We'll go right in the gateway. So it's charging at 13 volts now. Okay, so something's different, for sure. 3 DTC, no DTC set. Let's read the data stream by list. Again, we'll choose all of these generator, field current, voltage specified, response time. (13.5) field signal's 32. If I rev it up, 25. Field current is 1 amp, 1.5 amp. Okay. 3 generator size, 3 generator control. So everything's perfect. 13.5. We're at 13.5. Let's do terminal voltage 30. We'll graph that. And we don't need these vendor type size. 10 data pins should be enough. 12.8. Everything's perfect. We gotta take it for a test drive now. Alright, so I shut off the car and restarted it and check what happened to our data. Generator voltage specified 10.6. We're dropping voltage. Field signal 0. Field current 0. Everything says it's okay. And if we scan for codes, no codes present. Okay, that's weird. Alright, so while the car's running, we have absolutely no issues. Alternator is in control, 13.5 volts. That's the specified set point. So if we shut it off, and turn the key back on. Okay, so we're at 0. Let's start it up. Everything's okay. Response time, voltage is up, 13.5 volts. So the customer clearly said that when the alternator is plugged in, it doesn't charge. So how long do we have to keep driving for this thing to act up? Cars like this. Again, one of those situations where I should have said, make sure it's broken before you bring it over. A year and a half ago, might have had these problems. It had several alternators replaced, several trips to the dealer. I don't know what their testing, special testers showed, but everything's working just fine. The only glitch we had was the alternator didn't turn on once after exiting the car and coming back in when the key was off. I'm going to try that again. Just shut it off. Basically, shut it off. Take the key out. Pretend like you're exiting the car. Lights are on. Okay, we'll shut the lights off. We're back up. Everything's perfect. Just perfect. Well, welcome back for part 2 of the 2012 Audi Q7. This is turning into a really long, complicated car. So last week, if you remember, we checked all of the customer complaints, and everything checked out. Alternator's charging, heated seats, heated steering wheel, everything works. But he had the TPMS and suspension problem lights on the dash. And the code was suspension not calibrated. Let me get the scanner and we'll see what's going on with this Audi. By the way, I'm across the street from the Audi dealership, so the story gets really interesting. Alright, so here's the code 01437 that the car came in with originally to my shop. Control positions not adapted. Now what does that mean? That means the car doesn't know where normal ride height is, and it just disables the system. Now the car was at a decent ride height, I guess. It was drivable. But I decided, hey, let's see if my scanner can calibrate the suspension. Well, the car dropped all the way down and said unable to complete the calibration. Like, it wanted to keep going down further, but it could not. So here we go with the snowball. I checked all of the level sensors. They read fine. I even removed the little linkages, lubed them up. That's fine. I can command the compressor on with my scanner to manually raise or lower the front and rear axles, but the car cannot achieve its own ride height. The system is disabled. So I talked to Keith and Chris Martino, Euro gurus. We had a 3-hour Facebook live chat. Those guys are freaking amazing. They even logged into my scanner, went through all of the possibilities, and basically what it boiled down to is something's not working. Either the aftermarket scanner can't do this procedure, so I need like VCDS or something, or last resort, got to take it to the dealer so they can do it with their fancy scanner. So, customers waiting. I don't have VCDS. I will probably, after this car, invest and buy that system. But last week, I drove it to the Audi dealership. This was Thursday. To get the car at the right height, I manually inflated the front and rear axles with the scanner, and then just unplugged the module so the car would stay there, and it drove here, no issues. You won't believe what happened next. So this was last Thursday. Today it's Monday the next week. So I drove the car there, had my mountain bike in the back so I could ride back home, and later that day they called me. They said the tech spent 1 hour on the diagnostics, didn't get anywhere. He said the same problem, the car would lower, it basically lowered, and he could not get the compressor to kick on, even once. And remember, that morning to drive the car there, I had the compressor running to get the car to ride height, and then unplugged the module and plugged it back in when I got to the dealer. I'm like, okay. So they are like, we need approval for 2 more hours of diagnostic time. I'm like, well, is there a guarantee that you'll actually get somewhere? They said after 3 hours they'll check the entire system and give me an exact estimate of what it would take to repair the system. I'm like, okay, we'll give them a chance. Next day, Friday afternoon, the guy calls me up and says the technician checked everything. He tore the entire car apart. He checked the fuse and the relay, and he manually tried to energize the pump with his tester. It tripped the breaker. The pump is shot. So here is the entire invoice. And so my request was suspension needs to be programmed. And here we go. Perform an adaptation of self-leveling suspension. Dropping car but never rose due to pump not running. Removed lower cover and check pump. Found pump and connector corroded. Okay, there were some green crusties, sure. Bench tested pump and doesn't run. Removed driver's side seat and tested fuse and found power to fuse. Fuse is working condition. Audi repair manual advises to replace the relay with pump. Recommend replacing pump, body, side, harness, and connector, basically the entire system, and replacing relay and then reattempting adaptation of level sensors. Wow. I also asked them to check the software level in that gateway module for the charging system problem. And they said it's all fine. Guess how much my bill is right now? $620. And now the car is a lowrider. Compressor doesn't kick on. And how am I supposed to get this car back off their lot? So my blood pressure was starting to rise a little bit, but you know, we have to prove that the compressors, maybe it died while they were testing it. Things do happen. You can't get upset before proving something is bad or not good, or good. So anyways, the estimate here was almost $4,000 to replace this leveling pump, relay, connector, and harness. Okay, fine. So today's Monday. I said, can I make sure everything's plugged in, that, you know, the compressor is indeed dead? If it is, I agree with your diagnosis. I'll pay the bill and get the car off your lot somehow. You can't drive it when it's bottomed out because it'll tear up the, you know, the air shocks. So that's what I did. Paid the bill, got the key, drove the car across the street to this gas station, and plugged in the scanner, command the pump on, and it would click. Nothing would happen. I'm like, oh, sure does sound like the pump is dead, and it's a hell of a coincidence that it died at the dealership because it worked fine that morning. So I'm in the XL7. I brought a jack with me. I want to jack up the car, get to the pump, measure the current through the pump, make sure everything's plugged in, and you won't believe what I found. So I had the car jacked up, got this plastic protector off, and got my amp clamp around the wire going to the pump. There it is. There's the leveling pump. And this plug right here wasn't plugged in all the way. It was a little green and crusty, so I snapped it in all the way. And let's see if we can get this car to raise on its own. So back out of here. So you want to type in 08367 to access the basic functions. Basic settings, read by list, aerate front axle. Let's try that and adjust. Look, the pump kicked on, it's drawing 26 amps. And the front is raising up like it's supposed to. Unbelievable! So I did in 5 minutes in the parking lot what the Audi master technician, they said the master tech was working on your car, it's in good hands, couldn't do in 3 hours. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is wrong with this industry. I'm gonna go across the street and ask for my money back because this is bullshit. 100% bullshit. And to keep the car at ride height, oh, stop it, you stupid thing. I'm going to unplug the module here while we're still jacked up so it doesn't decide to drop on its own. And then, here we go, beep. Now we're going back to the Audi dealership. I probably won't record that because I don't want to get banned from another dealership, but this is truly ridiculous. Alright, so it's been a couple hours since I drove the Audi back across the street to the Audi dealership, and told the service advisor that yeah, I got the pump to run in the parking lot there. Took me about 10 minutes. I could raise the car up. So this diagnosis here where you say the pump is faulty, no, it's not going to fly. So I'd like at least a partial refund. So they said, according to their policy, they need to recheck the vehicle. So okay, we'll play by the rules. Go ahead, recheck the vehicle. And they called me back. They said they found more things. So we're headed right back to the dealership and we'll see what they found. Alright, so I got the Audi back from the dealership for the second time. Basically went in there and like, what else did you guys find? So they had the car for another hour to recheck it, and they just scanned it again, and This time I wasn't going to leave until they let me talk to the master technician who was working on this car. And that actually happened, so partial victory. They said they stand by their, you know, whatever, 3-hour diagnosis of the $620. It is what it is, but they didn't charge for the follow-up. And, well, the master tech, he was reasonable to talk to. The service advisor, nah, he's like the almighty, you know, you will not pass this this gate. But talking to the service tech was a learning experience. He basically says that they have to follow this Audi master diagnostic plan, so their hands are very tied. You know, they found a little green crusty on a connector at the pump, and you know, that means replace the whole harness, replace the pump, replace the relay, and then we can do more testing. That's it. That's it. It's a damn shame. That's how the industry works. So, if you're taking your car to a dealership for a diagnosis, I would say don't do it. Just don't do it. You're better off buying your own scanner and a test light and a voltmeter and doing it yourself. The wiring diagram subscription, you're going to be better off. It's actually going to be cheaper and you'll learn something. Yeah, so that's what I learned from this experience. $620 later, the car is, you know, nothing's changed. At least it didn't break it any further, but it's drivable, so we'll get it back to the shop. My only other idea is getting a used module for this thing that's not like corrupted. You know, why did the calibrations get lost in the first place and it's refusing to recalibrate? That's very suspicious. You know, the sensors are fine. There's no other permanent codes. It just says calibration's not learned. So that's where we are. Probably going to go on eBay, try to look up this module. Again, right now I can't charge the customer for all this. It wasn't even one of their initial complaints. But sometimes you have to pay for the education, so it is what it is.